Robert, the Book of Mormon recently won the Best New Musical, and you received your second Tony Award. This is your second mega hit and only your second show. Could you describe the genesis of the Book of Mormon show?
Sure. Yeah, my first show was Avenue Q. It was a show about kind of 20-somethings growing up in the city, but the metaphor of it was puppets, and it was sort of this Sesame Street meets Sesame Street grown up. Anyway, Matt and Trey, who created South Park, were also working on a puppet project at the time Avenue Q opened, and it was called Team America. It was a sort of it was the what's the name of the thing it was based on, the hyper animation, the what's that? No, it was oh gosh, I want to say Super Thundersting Car.
Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds, that's right. Thunderbirds. It was based on that, and it's all about how America has become the world police and had to fight terrorism by sending out these kind of action heroes dressed in. Anyway, they were all marionettes. So they were checking out Avenue Q because the producer Scott Rudin, who produced the South Park movie and Team America, had told them about us, saying, you know, there's another puppet project going on, you better go see it. And they came to see it one night right soon after it had opened, and it was close enough to the opening that I was still going to the theater a lot, and the ushers pointed them out to me, and I was just so excited to see them because the South Park movie, which is an amazing musical in and of itself, had really been one of my hugest inspirations for Avenue Q. And in fact, I can trace the genesis of Avenue Q to about a week or so after the South Park movie came out. So anyway, so I had thanked them in my bio as one of my inspirations. I thanked Kander and Ev and Sondheim and Jim Henson and Matt and Trey. And they saw that in the bio, and they were feeling a little bit weirded out by it. Why are we in here? This guy. So then I came up like a crazy fan at intermission and grabbed them and said, after the show, if you like it, please come with me and let's have a drink. So they really did like the show. I think they were surprised that it wasn't just taking a piss. It wasn't just a parody. It had some heart to it, and they liked that about it, and they wanted to talk to me. So we went out and just sort of had a couple of drinks, and they said, well, what's next for you? And I said, I've been wanting to do this, I wanted to do a show about Mormons, maybe about the Book of Mormon. I'd always wanted to do a show about the Book of Mormon without having ever read the actual Book of Mormon. I just knew it had to be crazy and it had to be great. And so that was my idea, like to bill it as the, it's the Bible, part 3, the musical. And they said, no, that's crazy. We're the only ones who are into that stuff. We've been wanting to do that ever since we graduated. So I said, that's crazy. You guys, you have the prior claim, you do it. And they said, no, let's do it together. And I thought, great, if that happens, that would be like a dream come true because I get to work with my heroes and all that. They then went back to LA and did a run of South Park, and in that run was their famous Joseph Smith, the musical episode. And I thought, oh, they did it. They didn't call me. But then after that run ended, they said, let's do the musical together. So I thought you already did it. They said, well, we have some other ideas. And so we got to talking about Mormonism and about what a Mormon musical could be if it wasn't just the story of Joseph Smith and it wasn't just the story of whatever is in the Book of Mormon. And we, Trey and Matt knew a lot of Mormons growing up. I didn't growing up in New York City, but they grew up in Colorado. Well, I'm sure there are plenty, but I didn't know them. But I was really interested in it. I was interested in it from just the idea of religion and the idea that religion is, on one level, to an outsider, anybody's religion looks goofy and made up and mythological and not real. But on another level, even to an outsider, you can look at what religion does in society at its best, and you can say, look, that's God working. That's that is something good that that humanity does that no other species does, that is peculiarly human and good. And I thought there was a really a great idea in that. And Matt and Trey feel the same way. They're both kind of atheists on the one hand, but on the other hand, they see what's good about religion. And we wanted to write a show about that. And very soon into talking about this creatively, I thought of The Music Man, which is a show about a con artist that comes to a town with kind of a lie to sell. And he kind of cons the town with this lie, and the town has a problem, a pool table, and through the and even though he's selling a lie, the lie turns out to be true in its own way, in a weird way, in a tangential way, and the town is saved, and people's lives are improved by music, even though the guy was a fake. And he turns out not to be a fake in a weird way. And I thought that was a perfect template for this Mormon show that Trey came up with the idea of Mormon missionaries. Once he had said that, I thought of The Music Man. And it wasn't long after that we came up with the idea of sending them to Africa, the worst war-torn part of Africa, just to put, because Africa is really that, at least as Americans reading about it, it's that place that challenges your belief in a good and a just God. It would challenge anybody's faith. The reading about the atrocities, and Matt and Trey are very well read about the atrocities, and we would just like shake our heads listening to list after list of awful, awful, awful things, thinking how could they somehow be put into a song. But to send some two green, blonde-haired, blue-eyed guys from Provo to northern Uganda with the Lord's Resistance Army and just everything, all the worst parts of humanity, it just seemed like, well, that's something to write about right there. There's a problem there, and can religion add anything to that picture, to that problem? And it's funny how. That kind of immediately we knew we had something, and we started writing songs. We started coming up with ideas for songs shortly after that, and 5 short years later we had a show. People keep telling me that their expectations are always surmounted by the show. Part of that is also just having a great cast on stage, giving 110%, and just really being warm and welcoming to the audience at the same time. I think that's part of it. I can't explain it. I think it has to do with how positive it is and how uplifting it is, and how, on the converse side, how deep to the depths of human experience it tries to at least take you before it lifts you up again. The idea of a war-torn nation in Africa, feeling happy at the end of a Broadway musical is appealing to anyone, I think.
And the process of composing it, could you briefly describe, besides coming up with the ideas and the outline?
Oh yeah, the process of composing it. Yeah, we would get together. We had these very short periods of time that we were able to work every year, because they do South Park 2 runs per year, which are each like 3 or 4 months, maybe 2 or 3 months, something like that. And they are really inaccessible during South Park, because South Park is not made ahead of time. When they do an episode of South Park, it's from Thursday to Wednesday, and that's all the time they have for one episode. So they are like working their butts off for that run, and nothing else can they possibly accomplish. So they have these little hiatuses, and so we would have this very discrete time in which we could work, and someone would usually fly somewhere. The first time we went out to London, and we'd basically what we'd do is we'd beat out the story as far as we could, and then come up with song moments. Like the first one I remember was "Hello," the opening number of the Book of Mormon, and the idea was, well, what's most people's experience of Mormons? it's usually their doorbell ringing, opening a door and seeing this guy, and the guy saying hello. And it just seemed like it made us think of the opening of Bye Bye Birdie a little bit, the telephone song. So we kind of had that in the back of our minds as we there's this program called Pro Tools, which is a digital recording studio in your computer, basically. And it makes it very easy to have a recording studio no matter where you are. We got a little Pro Tools set up on a laptop and a microphone just like this one, and we just started with a little crappy synthesizer, and we just kind of stacked all those voices and created that opening number on the computer, a little bit at a time over the course of a couple of days. And it was just a draft of it. Obviously, it became much more fleshed out, and I think we expanded it and doubled its length later, and fleshed in the characters and all that. But we did that with all of the songs, really. We sat in a room together. I would usually sit at the piano, although I don't want to take it away from Trey that he is also like a really good pianist and a really good composer, which he would sometimes sit down and play and write music too. And he would usually do most of the lyrics, although I'm a lyricist too, and I would sometimes write a verse and write a song here or there. And that's sort of the way it worked. And Matt is a drummer. Matt was there kind of helping us shape the songs as they came, saying like, no, we don't need to push it there. That's not what this is about. Come on, what we need is what about a beat like this? And play these fake drums, these MIDI drums, which are, it's this crazy thing. They call them V drums. They're virtual drums. So it was like we had a little band. Trey would sing, I'd play, and Matt would be on the drums.